Sup tube, Buddha here, and today I'm sharing a loose deck list on the new Tellarknight archetype, fresh out of the new box. I've been tinkering with it all week, and I gotta say, while it's really cool in theory, it's a little underwhelming in terms of performance. It can be very consistent. You can actually make these plays pretty easily. It specializes in summoning multiple bodies in one turn. It's great for negates. It's great for summoning the boss monster here. However, once all of that is said and done, if you miss, it's quite easy to take down. It's quite easy to interrupt with trap cards like Karma Cut and Feed This Chain. The plays cost heavy resources, and ultimately it's lacking in attack power. I took this deck into ranked and felt like I was trying to cog with a rogue deck, and that's not saying that rogue isn't good. There's some people out there that are straight geniuses and can go into rank with something completely outside of the meta's framework and dominate. I'm just saying that I don't think this deck is one of those. This is no ritual beasts. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have the staying power. It doesn't have the evasion that something like ritual beasts would have. You can easily get hit by a karma cut. It can ruin your whole day. Just one karma cut. Tech cards like Lance or Cosmic Cyclone or Hey True Nade, while those may be decent, I think those cards are better for decks that are like OTK style. Because what if you come across someone that has no back row? Let's say you running 2 Forbidden Lands, and then you come across an opponent who's not running a lick of back row, and you draw onto both Forbidden Lances at the beginning of your duel. It's not going to help you out. You're not even running an OTK style deck, so I don't think the Forbidden Lance or the Hey True Nade or even the Cosmic Cyclone are very good choices for Tellarknights. Additionally, as I said earlier, the plays cost heavy resources. In order to summon your boss, the Tellarknight Deltaros, I think is how it's pronounced. This boss monster here, in order to summon it, you need to use 2, sometimes 3 cards in your hand just to summon this boss. Okay, so if you're using Forbidden Lance, Cosmic Cyclone, Hey True Nade, you draw into 1 or 2 of those, you're not even going to have enough cards in your hand to summon your boss. Okay, and while opening up with Vega, Unu, Skybridge, and a Cosmic Cyclone is the perfect hand going second, you're not always going to have those conditions, you see. Compare these to simply playing Shiranui Squire, special summoning a tuner from your deck, summoning a synchro boss, and then going from there. You have that entire play from playing 1 card, Shiranui Squire. With this one, you need to open up with Vega, you need to open up with Uno, you need to send Deneb into the graveyard, you need to, maybe open up with Goblin. You need all of these cards. It costs a lot of resources just to go into this, and its attack power is only 2,500. Sure, it can pop a card, but let's say you try to pop their back row card and they flip it and it's the Karma Cut, you're done. So that's what I'm talking about here. The deck is really cool though. It can make some pretty cool dynamic plays thanks to this card here, Skybridge. And as soon as we get more Xyz monsters, more menacing things that we can summon maybe with 2 monsters, perhaps this can get a little stronger in the future. But as of now, I don't think we're going to be cogging with this deck or anything pure like this. Now, I'm not saying that my deck or my build is the best. Okay, there's still a lot of buzz going around with this particular archetype. You're probably going to see a lot of videos on it, a lot of different takes. Just take what you need from each one of these videos and each perspective and maybe come up with your own style. Perhaps you can come up with something that can cog on your own. This build I didn't have so much luck with. Going into core cards here, we have this Goblinberg that I'm running at 2. I don't think I would run 3 if I had a 3rd, but I am running this card because it actually helps with summoning the boss monster. You need 3 monsters to summon this, 3 level 4s. With this one, I can normal summon it and special summon any level 4 or lower monster from your hand. This card here has no limitations apart from going into defense mode after using its effect. So I think it may also have utility in synchro decks. It kind of reminds me of Red Resonator, but because of its level, you have access to different synchro bosses as well. The reason I'm running this card is to assist with summoning the boss monster here. Let's say I open up with Goblinberg as well as Vega and another Tellarknight monster, then I have access to this boss right here. What I can do is I can open up, normal summon with the Goblinberg here, maybe a special summon Vega, whose ability is to special summon any Tellarknight monster from my hand. I use that to special summon Unukali, send Den up to the grave, Xyz summon, go from there. That's what I have this here for. It's just there as an assisting card. Other than that, after I've done my XC summon, I don't really need it anymore. Once I've progressed further into the duel, it actually starts to lose its value because at that point I've got bosses on the field. So Tellarknight Deneb is the UR coming from the box. It's also the searcher, the one that when it's summoned can search any Tellarknight monster from the deck. You can get away with just using one of these. I don't think 3 is even necessary. Once I go into the combos, you'll understand that a little bit better. Regardless of what people say, you can get away with using 1. In fact, I only used 1 for the longest time, and that worked just fine because of Unukali's effect. And in combination with Altair's effect, you don't need 3 Deneb. Now, I know that search from the deck is very appealing. However, Deneb's ability does not assist you with getting 3 monsters onto the field. It's better off as your 3rd summon. Maybe open up with Vega, normal summon, special summon Unukali, throw Deneb into the grave, Skybridge. I'm going to explain that a little bit more in a bit. Bottom line is Deneb is your main searcher. It's what's going to get more cards into your hand. However, it will not assist you with summoning your boss monster and thus better off at 1 to 2 copies. Altair is incredible and arguably the most important monster in the deck. I'll bet it does have a bit of a limiting drawback. What this thing can do is once it's summoned, it can special summon any other Tellarknight from the grave. However, if you use that ability, you're only able to attack with Stellarknight or Tellarknight monsters for the rest of that turn. So like let's say you already have your boss on the field. At that point, you're probably going to be using Altair the next turn to normal summon and then special summon Deneb from your grave, search your monster, and then maybe leave him there, like if you have your trap here waiting. But at that point, you don't want to XC summon into Samurai, for example, or maybe even General, because if you do that, you're not going to be able to attack with your XC's monster. The only time I ever want to XC summon after using Altair's effect is if I'm summoning the boss monster, or if I'm expecting some pushback from my opponent, in which case I'll XC's into Utopia for defense. I'll still be able to attack with Deltaros there if I have him on the field already. Later on in the duel, Altair will probably be your most valuable monster, given that you'll have some other Tellarknight monsters in the grave, and then he'll be able to raise them and then continue on with your combos. It also pairs really well with Vega and Unukali. Going into Unukali here, or Unukali, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, but when it's summoned, you can send a Tellarknight card from your deck to the graveyard. Okay, so like let's say you open up with Vega here, who can special summon a Tellarknight from your hand. If you summon Vega into Unukali, or Unukali, I'm just going to call it Unu from now on. But when you use your normal summon Vega to special summon Unu, then you can send Deneb to the grave, and from then you can Skybridge, okay? Now, so Tellarknight Skybridge is a very unique card that has a lot of utility when it comes to the Tellarknight archetype. Its core function is to trade one Tellarknight on the field, returning it to the deck, for another Tellarknight from your deck, okay? So let's go back to our original combo here. Normal summon Vega, special summon Unu, send Deneb to the grave, Skybridge, target your Vega here, special summon Altair from the deck, send Vega back to the deck, use Altair's effect, raise Deneb from the grave, use its ability to search Vega or maybe another Altair for follow-up, and then from there you have Altair, Unukali, and Deneb on the field. From there you can XC summon into Deltaros. Okay? Skybridge is a very good card, especially since it's quick play, so you can also use this to evade certain back row. Let's say you normal summon your Vega, special summon your Unukali, and chain to its effect your opponent activates a Karma Cut, probably to disrupt your XC summon. From there you can chain Skybridge, and then of course target the Tellarknight monster that was targeted by the Karma Cut, evading it completely and continuing with your combo. Okay? Now the drawback of Skybridge here is that it can only be used if you have 1 or 2 monsters on the field. And the reason for that is if you read the text a little bit closely here, you'll see that you have to special summon the monster from the deck first, before returning the targeted Tellarknight monster back to the deck. Okay, so if you have 3 monsters on the field already, you can't use this card because since the special summon comes first, that would be a 4th monster. You can't do that. You don't have room for that. So Skybridge can only be used if you have 1 or 2 monsters on the field. So that's something to note there. Your opponent probably won't know this unless they've seen this video or they're familiar with the Tellarknights themselves. Okay, so that's something to note. A lot of the times, your opponent will just wait until you go into your Xyz monster or you go for your summon before trying to throw their Karma Cut at you. But another thing to note here is that Delta Roast, because of its effect, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects once you normal or special summon any monsters, provided it has Xyz material. So once you Xyz summon into Delta Roast, your opponent cannot respond with Karma Cut. This is good to know if you're against the Dark Magician. They have their Dark Magical Circle and their navigation down. They don't activate it after you have your 3 monsters on your field. You special summon Deltaros, they can't activate the navigation until you've either activated its effect or gone into your battle phase. So you special summon your Deltaros, you use this effect to pop their Dark Magical Circle. They may respond by chaining navigation, but by the time that chain resolves, Dark Magical Circle is no longer on the field and they cannot banish your monster. Something to note there. The best time to use your navigation would be on that 3rd summon. Once that 3rd summon comes in, you chain your navigation. They can't respond with Skybridge because they have 3 monsters on the field already. Something for the other side to know. If you're using Dark Magician or something like that, that's how you combat against that combo. In no shape or form is this card limited to that one combo I just shared with you. You could do something as simple as opening up with Goblinberg here, special summoning your Deneb, search your Unu, use your Skybridge, target Deneb, special summon Vega from the deck. From there, Vega will special summon Unu, use Unu's effect to send Deneb to the grave, Xyz summon using Goblin, Unu, and Vega. That's another thing that this Skybridge can do. You can also set it and save it to evade. You can use it on your Xyz monster if you have to. Let's say they use a Karma Cut and you don't want your Stellar, you're only running one of these and you don't want it to be banished. Use your Skybridge, send it back to your extra deck, summon another one later. There's a lot of combos you can do, especially with this card. It offers some dynamism, it offers some protection there, and it assists you with your combos here into summoning this card because obviously this is the primary boss. I wish it had 3000 attack, man. It'd be a lot better, but it is what it is. Stellar Nova Alpha is an incredibly powerful card that allows you to negate any spell trap or monster effect and destroy that monster. If you do destroy that monster or card, if you do destroy that card, you get to draw another card. So it gives you a +1 as well. It can negate graveyard effects as well, but please note that if you're negating something from the graveyard, then it isn't destroyed, and then you won't be able to draw your card. Okay, that's something to note there. Very good card. The problem is you have to send a face-up Tellarknight monster to the graveyard to use it, so it's essentially a -1 as well. And if you're using it to like negate, let's say someone activates their Magician's Navigation from the grave to negate your Fiendish Chain or your enemy controller or something like that, and you want to counter it with your Stellar Nova Alpha, you can do so, but then at that point you're just getting a -1. You're losing a monster on the field, and you won't be able to draw a card because you negated something from the graveyard and it wasn't destroyed as a result. The only time this can be really helpful is when you actually send your Delta Rose to the graveyard using the Stellar Nova Alpha to counter whatever, and you trigger this thing's 3rd effect, which is that when it's sent to the graveyard from the field, you can actually special summon another Tellarknight monster from your deck. So if you do that, you special summon, you use this to counter whatever, and you use its ability to special summon Vega from your deck, you use Vega to special summon Altair from your hand, and you use Altair to special summon Deneb from your graveyard, and then search a card. That can be a really good counter. It's probably the most incredible counter I've seen in Duel Links so far. So don't count this trap out. 2 to 3 copies is probably core for this. Same thing with Skybridge, 2 to 3 copies. You can probably get away with running 2 of these if you want a little bit more room for tech cards. But that Skybridge is really strong, as well as this card right here. It's what's going to net you some of your wins. And before I go into tech cards here, I want to go over a couple of monsters that I think are worthy of mention. First off, there's Tellarknight Alsom, which when summoned can inflict 500 points of damage. Given the engine I just described to you, with Altair and with Vega here, there are plenty of options to burn your opponent for 500 damage, which can add up over time. 500, 1,000, 1,500. That can be very helpful if you've already inflicted prior damage. Second is Tellarknight Sirius, which when summoned can target 5 Tellarknight monsters in the graveyard and shuffle all 5 into the deck before drawing a card. That's including your boss monster here. That's one way to retrieve it. It's also another way to retrieve your Altair if you needed another one later on in the duel. The reason I'm not running him anymore is because he seems to be good for prolonged duels, like duels that have been going on for a little while. And by the time it gets to a point where I want Sirius, the duel only has a turn or two left anyway. So I've had him in the deck before, but there was never a time that I actually used his ability outside of a standard duelist. Now, I've been experimenting with a few different tech cards, the Enemy Controller, the World Legacy Clash, and the Fiendish Chain. I know that some people think the World Legacy Clash won't really work in this deck because they say you lose your Xyz material when you use it on an Xyz monster. But most of the time I'm using Clash to actually protect one of these monsters so I can Xyz summon in the following turn. Like let's say this, I was using it a lot before I got the Sky Bridge. I used the Sky Bridge for the same thing that I was using Clash for, but the good thing about Clash is that you can greatly decrease someone's attack power, leaving them wide open for an attack in the following turn. Let's say they've got Shiranui Sun Saga on the field, and they attack your Unukale. You use your World Legacy Clash, banish that off, and strike that Sun Saga for 1,800 points of attack power. But I'm also using the Enemy Controller right now. Like I said, this is a very loose deck list. Enemy Controller is pretty good, especially if you get floodgated. Let's say you don't have one of these, you don't have one of these. You get floodgated, use that Enemy Controller to get rid of that monster there on the field. It's also really cool. There was one duel where I econ took somebody's level 4 monster and used it as Xyz material and held onto it until I was done with it and threw it away like scrap. That was pretty cool. Fiendish Chain, or any other luxury trap for that matter, will be helpful for keeping your monsters safe and then leaving them wide open for your boss monster here. But ultimately, in my opinion, as I said earlier, I don't think there's a lot of room for tech cards, maybe 2, 3, because your summons, your combos here, it's just heavy in resource cost. It costs so many cards in your hand just to get into this. And I guess I'm going into conclusion here. In conclusion, this is a really cool deck with a lot of potential for magic here, especially when we start to experiment with other cards that we have. Maybe slip a tuner or two, maybe some Crystron power or something like that. It's an idea I had, but I think I'm going to move on to a completely different archetype after this video. I think this is going to increase in strength as more Xyz monsters, as more support is released later on. As of now, I don't think it's top tier. I don't even think it will be tiered. Feels more like a rogue deck to me, but perhaps I'm missing something. Tell me what you think of Tellarknights in the comments, what you've come up with. I've got a few spicy replays on tap for you to show you the combos and what this archetype can do. I hope you enjoyed the video and that maybe it inspired some ideas for you, whether or not you've loosened your purse strings at the moment of Zexal's release. I hope this video is of benefit to you. Peace.
Duel!